I'm very happy to introduce Nicholas Wright, who's our second intern that I had the privilege of working with. Thank you so much to Khadija. We've heard from Khadija on climate resiliency and looking at land cover. And Nick is going to shift topics a little bit and talk more about bikeability and walkability in Charles County. Nick, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Like Emily said, my name is Nicholas Wright. I'm one of the interns, a part of the Conservation Innovation Center with the Chesapeake Conservancy. They partnered to work with the Charles County government to update the land preservation and park. Oops. Sorry about that. The Land Preservation and Parks Recreation Plan. It's a 5-year plan mandated by the state of Maryland. Essentially, it just budgets out all the different ways that the resources will be implemented to keeping all the green spaces safe, open, maintained, and all the other good stuff. Here's the 2017 plan. We were brought on board to help along with the plan that is going to be updated next year. At a glance, when we first came in, we spoke to the county, and one of the issues they wanted to work on is some of the accessibility to some of these green spaces, athletic fields, sports complexes, so on and so forth. So when we analyzed it, we started realizing, hey, Charles County is an extremely rural area. With that being said, the public transportation isn't necessarily the best, or is it convenient for everyone? Unfortunately, some of the roadways don't really accommodate cyclists or pedestrians, just the nature of the fact. And some of the areas that people do have access to, the demand is extremely high. You know, if you have certain parks accessible to certain communities, everyone's there at a certain time, on weekends, holidays, so on and so forth. Some of these places do get crowded. So we started looking into ways to help that. Charles County, they already had great information for us. As you can see here, they already have, they use geospatial analysis, and they already mapped out drive times to all these different public places. And you can access all these places within a 10-minute drive. But that may not be as realistic to others because a lot of people depend on public transportation, or just minors that can't actually just go out on their own and actually experience some of these places. So we wanted to look at that and try to focus on expanding it for others that just don't have the access. We wanted to work with the Van Go, that's the bus system there, really convenient. You can just use an app to utilize all the different public transportation in the area. So we kind of wanted to expand on that. And so what we planned on doing was taking a similar map, like a heat map, and seeing if a lot of these areas were accessible to just pedestrians and cyclists. So this is where the idea of curb extensions came in and continuous sidewalks. So essentially a curb extension is just this bulb out here. You can have concrete, or you could just have the safety cones and barricades. And this is just great for intersections. This encourages people to be able to utilize the space in these designated areas, and it just makes these public spaces more available to everyone, in addition to a continuous sidewalk. A continuous sidewalk is more of a long-term plan to help with the accessibility in the area. Show you a quick video of what a continuous sidewalk is. Just for reference, it's not really a drop down in the sidewalk. If you can see here from both sides, the sidewalk plane remains the same. And with that, it prioritizes the pedestrians, especially in some of these busier areas, like the Waldorf and La Plata area. This would obviously is a long-term plan, but this is something great that we can implement, especially like following the pandemic. Something like this will have offer a lot of outdoor dining, plenty of walkable space, you know, just to help people get back into business, so on and so forth. And here's a quick map. So we just zoomed in to this Beantown area, which is a a great residential area. As you can see, there's the icons. Sorry, I don't have the legend up right now, but the icons highlighted are just the different schools in the area. And the county is great because they associate the different community centers and public pools with those schools. So it's very accessible to the public. Sorry, I'm gonna give a quick demonstration. And a lot of these places, especially in this residential area, are very accessible by just walking. I'm gonna turn on a layer here, and you can access these areas directly from your school within a 15-minute walk, which is great, but unfortunately, some of the infrastructure there doesn't support that, doesn't support the walkability. I'm gonna switch over some of the layers just to give a better visualization of it. So I zoom in here and you can see that they do offer some crosswalks, which is great. But a lot of these places don't actually have sidewalks. And you see this huge residential area, they don't have crosswalks here or anything to just keep people safe from point A to point B. And we think it'd be great to implement this, just to let all the kids just have access, you know, to the different public spaces. And here's a quick just 360 of that intersection that I just showed. As you can see here, it's the infrastructure. It's just not designed for pedestrians. So it would just be something great to improve on. It should give a quick 360 of here. Nope. Let's see if it works. This is right in front of the Thomas Stone High School. And it just shows that intersection. Sorry, I don't think the video is working. Oh, actually it is. There you go. Yeah, you can see here, the entrance to the high school is over here. You can see they don't have a lot of sidewalks or anything really friendly for pedestrians. So in the next 5 to 10 years, this would be a great plan to kind of implement. And something a little more long-term, besides the curb extensions and the continuous sidewalks, would be to implement a bike sharing program. So our thinking was we could initiate this program, you know, just to target middle schools, just to see how it works. So the middle schools in the area give kids, you know, initiative to actually go out, access some of these places. We thought it'd be great, especially for just public health. You know, it lowers childhood obesity, cuts down on screen time, especially in a virtual environment. Kids have been at home in front of tablets, laptops, on TikTok, so on and so forth. So this initiative would give them, just let them go out and just access some of these places, get out, have some fun, and it would be great for the economy. Establishing some of these bike racks isn't too expensive. Obviously, when you try to invest in some of the bike lockers, it's a little more costly, but just having some bike racks around some of these middle schools would be great. It creates jobs because, you know, people have to actually establish them, maintain them, so on and so forth. And eventually it'll help improve the infrastructure in the county. You know, eventually they'll, you know, start initiating some bike lanes and some other things that are just a little more friendly. And here in this St. Charles area, you see highlighted are a few middle schools and elementary schools in this huge residential area, which is great, but sorry, I'm gonna play it. A lot of them aren't in walkable distances. So I'm gonna turn on a map here, sorry. So you can see all of these places like the sports complex and the regional park there, they're out of walking distance. You would have to walk more than 20 minutes, which isn't really realistic. But if you implemented some of these bike sharing programs at some of these schools, you could access them within 5 to 10 minute bike ride, which is something that, you know, maybe not be an immediate response to the problem, but definitely long-term for the county they could, you know, suggest it. So we want to go ahead and create that data layer for them, just to use in the future. In conclusion, we presented the curb extension idea to the county. They really enjoyed it. They said they want to start working and moving forward with that data layer to improve the Plata area and some of the Waldorf area. And also the bike sharing, it's not going to be as immediate, obviously, but they still like the idea they still wanted us to move forward with the elements of that data layer. So if no one has any questions, then that's all I have. Yes.
How you doing, Nicholas? The bike sharing is really interesting to me, so I was wondering if there's been any research or any evaluation of larger cities that have used bike sharing, or even like the scooter sharing. So whether that's New York City or even Baltimore City, that they've used similar methods to cut down on, I would even say, carbon emissions.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a lot of it. I don't have any off the top, but it's definitely extremely helpful to implement something like this. It prevents all those greenhouse emissions, and it's just a safer way to get around, you know. But yes.
So along with bike sharing, which is really exciting, I love the exciting positive things you're presenting. What about bicycle access? Is the assumption that the increased pedestrian access will be shared with bicyclists, or the bicyclists end up on the road with the bike sharing plans?
Well, it would have to, they would share the road. We think the thought process is after you implement it, eventually the county will say, hey, we need to really invest in some of these bike lanes because, you know, a lot of folks are getting out there, they want to have this accessible space. So the initial idea was to just keep the bikes within a residential area, so they're not going on some of these major streets. But eventually we would hope that that would help improve some of the infrastructure.
Can I add to, in Baltimore, we do, well, I'm from Baltimore, we do have bike lanes, but some lanes they call them multimodal lanes. So you have a bike lane and then you have a lane for the pedestrians, or sometimes the pedestrians and the cyclists, they can share that lane. So, I mean, that would be beneficial to have too. If in some cases you can't just restrict a road to just a bike lane, it could be multimodal where the pedestrian can use that lane as well.
Yeah, and it would be available for all cyclists, not just those that are part of the bike program. Any other questions? Anybody from Zoom?
Just a quick.
Yes.
Did the county officials, did they share with you what the future projections of the cost of implementing this thing say initially?
Well, I did some research on a bike sharing program, and it's pretty expensive. I don't think the county is ready to kick out that kind of money for this type of initiative, but the curb extensions, that's something more immediate. Just setting up safety cones and barricades, that's not too expensive, and they would definitely like to include that either in this plan or the next plan.
Yeah, the cost factor is interesting. I mean, I think a number of these large cities use like so-called public-private partnerships to get these bike sharing kind of scenarios off the ground. Yeah, and I do wonder what the long-term viability of, maybe you could do some research on whether there has been a city or cities that have been able to completely transition to a privately owned bike share operation that's totally self-sufficient and not dependent upon government like subsidies or funds.
Yeah, that would be great, actually. Thank you. Yes.
So this is pure curiosity. I was just wondering how your research experience has impacted your aspirations, whether affirming them or supporting the exploration of what you want to pursue.
It's significantly improved it. So my geospatial experience is through DoD. I'm a Navy veteran, and I like doing this kind of geospatial work. It's definitely expanded my experience, you know, to different horizons and seeing a lot of different opportunities. So it's been extremely beneficial.